Good morning. Welcome to 4x8 Paper Stuff. This is Beth. We're doing a quickie. Yeah, we are. But I have a used book that's about quilting, and it's very, very basic steps. It's a lot of hand stitching, um, not projects, but how to do it and how many stitches you should get to an inch and blah, 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 blah. It's very old. I don't remember how old it is. It's from the 80s, I believe. It was my mom's. But I'm turning it into a quilt idea book. Now, this is not what I was going to order when I said I have to wait for my papers to come. They came while we were gone. But I don't like, it's not meshing in my head for all this. So I decided to use this book. This one was one of my mom's when she was trying to figure out how she could hand quilt a quilt that my aunt started. And it ended up, my aunt worked on it, I worked on it, and my mom worked on it. So there were three generations or three sections of families working on it. My dad's sister, my mom, and me. And I finished it. And I have it somewhere. Actually, I think my sister has it. Anyhow, so I put in all my little samples that I've been making of different squares or blocks or tiles or whatever you want to turn them into, or whatever I might use them in the future for, and putting them in this book. It's a way that I can look at the book more often. Remember my mom ordering this, or I ordered the book from my mom because she didn't know how to order anything on Amazon. And at the time, these were when they were a penny a piece. So we spent nothing on these books, which wasn't really the point. She wanted to learn. She saw them on HGTV or something and wanted to use them. So I'm like, okay, fine, I can get them for you, and I did. There were two of them, and I don't know what the other one is. Anyhow, so I put in all my ideas. I'm not covering up any of the quilts. There's some modern ones, some regular ones, some, when I say regular, traditional quilts, some hand stitching, some beautiful, beautiful projects. And I'm going to get the book back out and go through it a little bit. But today it's a quick video, quick, because we're home yesterday afternoon, but it takes me a day to get back in the swing of things. So, I'm also cleaning off this desk, which I left in a disaster. I did clean out my water containers and my paintbrushes and all that before I left. So they're clean. They're clean. Believe it or not, they're clean. I know. But at the end of this video, I have some of our trip. Now, we went up to Bryson City, which is in North Carolina, close to the Tennessee border. And borders on Cherokee and that entrance to the national park, the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, which is the first one I ever went to when I was 3 months old, supposedly in the back of a station wagon camping. However, we did not realize how much of that section of the park is not accessible. Left over from Hurricane Helene last October, it is a mess. We didn't see any of them as the roads are closed, and they said they will be for years. It's going to take a lot of surveying and everything to put the roads back, which is really sad because I'm just going to say it. We have a president who does not believe in national parks or anything pretty, except for gold gewgaws in the Oval Office. But anyhow, I guess you know how I feel now. Anyhow, so the national parks are not a priority. I understand that there's cities that take precedence. I'm okay with all that. Like Asheville is still a mess. Still a mess. And a lot of people that did not have flood insurance, that lost everything. Still. The little town of Bryson City has two rivers that are close by. One overflowed the banks and a lot of stuff was destroyed. However, the town had flood insurance, so everything's back to normal. Cute little town. Went up through Cherokee, which I had no clue on the indigenous life in this town and what it was, what it is now, what it can be, what it should be, the whole, any kind of word you can describe. It's really, I had mixed emotions about a lot of it, and ashamed myself a little bit into not knowing how much is going on and not going on in that town and how close it is to me. I mean, it's like 3.5 hour drive from us. And that gigantic casino. Yeah. Anyhow, it's on tribal land, so they can do that, and I don't know how much of it goes back to the tribe. I know they get some money. Um, uh, anyhow, okay. So anyhow, I decided to just sit down here and start playing. Now I've had this piece of paper that had the green, the lower layers for over a year and a half or so in another like paper pad that I had painted just one day, just willy-nilly painting watercolor blobs and shapes. And it started to all take place into these weird angles. And I really wasn't sure what was happening, but I do know I'm going to do that some more. I had pieces of paper under here, and I'm getting rubbings from them. That's going to happen some more. These are Neocolor 2s that I'm using, so I could have swirled that around a little bit with some water. I didn't do that in these places, but in some places I did. And I'm kind of just going with the colors that I saw in the Smoky Mountains. The blues and the greens and the browns of the trees and the massive amount of elk we saw. Had no clue, no clue. At one point it was raining and there were cars in the way, so I didn't get pictures. But at one point we saw a herd of about 50 running through a meadow. It was absolutely jaw-dropping. Amazing. No bears. We didn't see any bears, but we did see a lot of elk. So much so that I had to get a t-shirt that had elk on it. I know, I fell into the tourist trap of getting a t-shirt with some elk on it. Anyhow, even though I say I don't need any more t-shirts, I don't want any more t-shirts, but I bought one. I fell prey to the prey. Anyhow, and I'm not sure where I'm going with all this, but I just know I wanted to use some of the colors that I saw in the Smoky Mountains and in nature. In the trees, we stayed in a gorgeous Airbnb bed and breakfast type thing. Bed and breakfast, I guess it was. But it was a combo Airbnb bread and breakfast because we didn't eat breakfast with other people, but we had breakfast provided. Very, very, from the 1920s. Very, very pretty. The little town of Bryson City is so cute and quaint and very historical. Um, for the indigenous people, for the Civil War, for the Revolution. No, not Revolutionary, Civil War. Um, just in that whole area, the historic value is pretty on a grand scale. Um, it was just a quick getaway to get out of the heat. It was 15 degrees cooler up there, mainly because rain came in, as it did here, but we had a lot of rain up there on Saturday afternoon. When did we leave? We only went, no, I keep forgetting. We went Wednesday and Thursday, came home Friday. So it was Thursday that it started raining in the afternoon. But anyhow, the more I got into this, it's like a landslide. And that's what's happened in the Great Smoky Mountains. So I went with that title. And then I kind of had a piece of paper that ripped right there where it was wet. And I just accented it with a little black and a little bit of black here and there. This may not ever turn into a quilt, but I don't hate it, I have to say. Perfect Stitch, that's what the book is called. I don't hate it. And it may turn into something else later. It might spur other ideas. I'm not sure. All I know is it was fun. It reminded me of our trip to the park and Bryson City and Cherokee. And we had some really pretty outdoorsy pictures that were happening. The moss on the trees, the river that runs through there, which now I can't remember the name of it, but it's a Cherokee name. Just beautiful, just really beautiful. Little waterfalls along the way because there's a lot of water going through right now. Just because this whole area has had so much rain lately. Not just hurricane weather in October of last year, but this meadow, picture elk walking through it. Picture elk running actually through it because it was raining. This was the smaller group we saw on Wednesday afternoon, and I just about had a heart attack, as you can well imagine. But here comes the rain, so we're back home. Everything's fine. It's just going to take me a minute to get back in the groove, but so glad we did this little tiny trip to cool off. Thanks for watching. Bye.